I am the
So,
one.
so
Hmm.
it is Wednesday.
My dude.
Is it? Are you
We
sure?
are gathered here to sidestep many of the um, realities of the modern world. We are here to tap into something else. And this hobby is of inestimable value to me. And your time, your efforts, and your energies helping me, helping you, helping us enjoy this hobby is appreciated. The outpouring of energy cannot be exaggerated enough to meet the full value of it because it is a matter of investment. It is a matter of sidestepping and buying in. And for that, as is always immortally the case, thank you all for being here. Without a shadow of a doubt, this is Soup City Sins, Sheltered or Saved. So I honestly forget 7, 8, 8 is the actual episode number. Seeking Wherefore Given. When we left this coterie, last playthrough, they had just arrived at the location of one of their targets. Their target, of course, being the cult of Menelaus, which is no small thing. The difference of cult and religion, while always can be simplified to the amount of property that the cult owns, i.e., its inherent financial value, there's also less quantifiable its presence in whatever society it exists in, exposure to the general populace. Every religion has always begun as a cult, a group of like-minded individuals seeking to worship whatever higher, lower, ulterior, alternative power that they place as divine in their specific manner. We are all aware that wars, domestic and abroad, have been fought over those beliefs. The portion of the population that the cult, the religion, pulls under their sway, and how many generations they are able to instill their specific form of worship, of their specific power, changing the scope and scale of empires. In fact, one of the largest current day longest reigning empires is solely that of a refaced, resurfaced, long believed dead empire. An empire that has its own city state that is inviolable in the control of its domain. An empire that trains its own special forces operations group before such things had reached the public zeitgeist. That maintained a standing army. And while they directly have not invaded, usurped, or otherwise provably altered the course of other nations, their reach is incalculable. They have censors and advocates and laymen willing to lay siege and fight wars, verbal, physical, and emotional in their stead. It's often been believed that what armies could not, priests certainly could. So as the coterie arrives at the location for a meeting of the higher branches, the higher members, the members of higher standing for the men and the lands, sitting outside looking at the building, watching Chicago do what Chicago does, which is exist, persist, and resist on a multiplicity of layers and fronts all at once. The filthy lucre of their last meeting, the members of the Primogen, sitting there all but burning a hole in Dio's pocket. The whispered echoes of messages sent, their underlying meaning and their subtext, burning a hole through Hestia's mind. The realities of the powers that you all are now aligned against and targeted by, resting on everyone's tongue. The realities of having flushed the henhouse or the cult of Helena, their central location, their central temple in Chicago, routed, immolated, pillaged, some would say, weighing on everyone's mind. We pick up seconds as the car comes to a stop. Pick up blinks of an eye, fractions of lifetimes, with the coterie sitting in front of the meeting place.
Oh, I suppose we gotta go do this. Does anybody have any specific way they want to go about doing this?
Depends. I mean, the overall objective is what? Do enough damage to matter, but not enough damage to cause a kerfuffle? And I don't mean actual physical violence. Just so that everybody's aware, I'm not talking about going in here beating people to death.
No?
No. My skill set is a hell of a lot more varied than that.
I mean, it worked so well last time.
Strangely enough, it did.
Oh, so wonderfully how it worked out.
I mean, to be fair, I'm not at a loss for anything due to that. The only thing I would say is that the unfortunate interactions between the thing we're keeping under wraps, that is definitely a problem, but I wouldn't say it's overall a detriment to us. It's being resolved.
At least until I get too hungry.
That is true. Although, don't you need to bottom out before we can actually deal with your situation?
That is my understanding. Still.
Then you getting hungry is kind of on the to-do list.
No, you got it wrong as to how that works. It's not them being hungry. It's being the blood has been removed from their body. You can't get rid of the infection without removing damn near every drop from the body or burning it somehow and then replacing it with fresh new blood. But the problem with that is then once you remove the blood, the beast gets fairly pissed off.
Yeah, so...
And that's where the danger comes in.
Alright, so we need to exsanguinate her. That's unfortunate for her, but not undoable.
It wouldn't be the first time.
Hell, half of our existence is exsanguination.
Okay, well, out we go then. We're going to play it by ear, try our best not to turn this into a clusterfuck, and
If I might ask a question, because I feel that this may happen anyway, but I just might thought I'd run it by you guys. Are you absolutely sure that you guys don't want to throw a bat in there, lock the door, then set the place on fire?
No, we're not doing
Yes,
that.
absolutely sure. 100% not doing that.
Yeah.
Okay. Just thought I'd ask.
but
I'm not sure why you think you would get a different answer.
yeah, well, we're on our way. Hestia, what exactly do you know any avenues through which we could disrupt the Menelaans and their meeting here? Are you planning on going in, talking with them, and fucking with their politics, or?
Bill kind of looks at them both and thinks, that fire, that'd definitely disrupt them. Say anything. He actually goes invisible and uses cloak of shadows, unseen
No,
passage. I'm sorry.
whilst we're looking about the group, sir. I'm fucking with you. Um,
My plan
don't.
was basically to, hey, those motherfuckers over there called you some bitches. You gonna take that? And point them in the direction of the remaining Hellenans, kind of stir the pot so that we are hands off, but they are fighting with each other even worse than they were fighting with each other before, possibly. Meanwhile, taking their
Um,
legs out from underneath them. I don't know.
so we are aware that they're at each other's throats. Also, Theo, Nobu's paying you for a role. We are aware that they're at each other's throats. We could theoretically, with some wording, put them under the impression that the Helleans have imminently a plan that would lead to their downfall or ruination in some form. Give them the on the horizon timeline.
Yeah, you're getting it. Now you're getting it. So we gotta bullshit the fuck out. Well, actually, no, it's not entirely a bullshit because they do want them gone, but
Yeah,
just
no.
stir the
We
pot.
just don't give specifics. If you just don't give specifics, it's a lie by omission, and those are a lot harder to tell.
Okay, so we are heading in.
Just as we're walking in. Miriam, do you have any thoughts on this?
I think that it's going to be a clusterfuck either way. But it's almost like we are stuck between politics and politics. So we should politic.
If I'm sifting through your statement, right, we've got enemies on one side, enemies on another side. Just try and handle it without setting either one of them to loose themselves upon us.
I don't even know that it's we have enemies on one side and enemies on the other. We have Stryker, who is a pain in the ass.
Hey, Theo. What? I don't know how to put this without sounding weird. Um, are you blushing right now?
Uh, maybe.
I don't know. You're giving off a lot of heat right now, like fever style heat, buddy.
It's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it. It's
What
totally fine.
What do you mean? Don't worry about it.
No, we're not going to not worry about it.
Everything's fine. No worries. Don't worry.
I'm sorry, but Kumbaya has never been my song of choice.
Miriam will look at Hess. It's like, should we drag him off by the ear?
See, I don't trust the Chaos Gremlin that he tends to be to not get in trouble currently, especially with whatever the fuck's going on right now. So let's nip this in the bud.
By the ear it is.
I'm wounded. I feel that you guys do not trust me.
Yeah.
But that was quick.
Um, the last time that I took my eyes off of you, you shattered an ancient vase and let loose something. So, while we have this opportunity, before we get into a situation where any kind of trip-ups or spilled glass on the floor might lead to blood, why don't you elaborate on your current situation?
Uh, use blood to do unseen passes. Yeah, so, you know, got warmer. It happens.
What?
You
That's not how
know,
that works.
I run
Miriam
a
is going to.
shelter and
Uh,
get lied to a lot. So I can pretty much tell when people are lying to me. You sound like you're lying to me.
yeah, like
I would
Miriam's
not gonna.
going
never
to
lie to you, Hestia.
squint her
Wouldn't never
eyes
lie to
and
you.
walk over closer to Hestia and lean down and whisper in her ear, "Remember when I was having those dreams?" And she'll flick her eyes over towards Theo.
Like, I don't know
Oh,
too much.
fuck.
I don't know too much about all the way that everything works, but I've never gotten warmer after channeling myself.
See, problem with that there situation is it can happen. Usually, though, happens when you're being ridden by something.
What?
Ridden. Have you ever heard of that? When a ghost
No.
or spirit or demon or something otherworldly attaches itself to you, you're considered being ridden, like it's riding you like a bike. It's riding along with you.
Okay.
Ridden. Yes.
Demons are real. Noting.
Yes, they very much are.
Huh. There's lots of things that are real. Just saying.
Hey, what's that?
Yeah. What the hell is going on, Theo? You're apparently being unicycled right now.
He points over towards the dark corner over there to the left. What was that guy?
House is not gonna look in the direction he pointing. That's the
Hmm.
oldest fucking trick in the book.
Right?
Phil starts walking into that dark, shadowy corner.
Yo, whoa, hold up, buddy. And he just, like, I suppose, moves to intercept. Why don't we
What's
just all
the?
stay here and have a conversation, huh? No need to go walking off into the dark.
I literally need to get over there now. Phil says as he
Uh,
walks over to that darkened area.
Hey, Miriam, help me with this.
let's not do that. And she will put her small little frame in between the two. I mean, her average size, because she's not small, but
Well, they're small and then they're small. In this particular situation, there is a you all to not belabor the point of how twitchy, almost painfully obvious the addiction and need that's coming over him is. While Theo believes and feels that he's perfectly well in hand and everything is 100% acceptable on the surface, everything is as it is. And all he needs is to be able to move and exit from sight, be able to prowl and pick around the edges of them. There's something else. Something unmistakably anger inducing. Like there's a burr under the saddle that's his skin working its way deeper and deeper. The longer he stands here, the longer he is bombarded by the acts of care, no matter how small. It's as if the weight is building up. It's only so long that his legs will hold out. His knees are showing the signs of strain, and that burr under the saddle that is his skin is inching more and more deeper and deeper into the meaty flesh that is his prison right now. There is a weight to being held accountable, to being visible, to being noticed, to being perceived. And that weight in this moment seems higher than it has in ages. He is seen. He should never be seen.
Oh, fun. As he's just kind of slowly watching the manic build up inside Theo's eyes, the kind of expression of burgeoning panic. Hey, why don't you just calm down? I get that whatever the hell it is that is eating at you is getting worse, but it's not good to let it overtake you. I I don't know how the fuck to fight being ridden. You guys, help out here.
Well, the last time we kind of burnt a pretty painting and, summoned a whole giant worm monster. It's fine. Not my area of expertise. Just putting that out there.
The single raised eyebrow of, excuse me, what the fuck? But lets it pass on.
Crying softly, Hess will step to the front. And look into his eyes from all 4'5" of her. Squinting for a minute. Shit. It's one of Sophia's.
Are you fucking kidding me?
I wish I was. I really, really wish I was. But no. Yeah. It's got her stink all over it.
This another lick?
Yeah. You might have to hurt her.
Sophia de
Yeah,
Rossi. She's the current Akata pater for this area.
Oh.
Yeah, she used to run with us back when we were being hunted.
Okay, and you now have bad blood.
Basically, we're not fans.
It's complicated. Where it's a situationship.
Bullshitted us out of some things and backstabbed us a little bit. So yeah, we're not.
Okay. And how does that lead to him being ridden?
Remember that thing he broke?
Okay.
Probably that.
She had a propensity for collecting things. At her apartment that time, she had shit from all over the place. Weird skeletal babies, you name it. So this was probably one of hers, yeah. She also has fairly expensive taste.
Alright, well, background context aside, how do we fix it?
We find someone who's good with spirits.
Okay, but until then,
I mean,
I might
it took
I might
us.
be a quick this. Hold
During this conversation, Theo is still moving towards the darker area.
on.
Just
No,
kind
he's
of an
not. Hestia
FYI.
has him by the pants.
Yeah.
Other than that,
Pants.
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 Let's just,
oh,
Pants.
okay.
Like
I was a
SpongeBob
little confused
Square.
for a second. I was a little confused for a second. That's why I thought I'd ask before I said anything. Okay, by the pants. Okay, you can work with that. Um, Theo leans over towards Hestia. Uh, bright light is really kind of a clan thing. I kind of need to get into some shadow, if you guys don't mind.
Yeah, we mind. And uh,
It would take me a little bit of time. It's a ritual. I can do it. Uh, probably take me about 30 minutes, but we don't have that time right now. I'd have to do it later. But I can't ward him against spirits.
well, meanwhile, maybe this will help. And she is going to attempt to use Quell the Beast on him.
I see. That is an interesting That is an interesting application. Um, Here is the downside to that. You've never seen him not wired. You've never seen him without that drive. Are you prepared for that chance? And of course, there's always the opportunity that he may be considerably more resistant. It's obvious, Theo, that this coterie of individuals are attempting to assist you. Question is, as Miriam eases into the center of your view, are you attempting to resist whatever it is that she's attempting?
Uh, uh, he's gonna trust them and not actively resist. No.
It's not an active or a by degrees. It is either a yes or a no.
Okay, then no, because he assumes that they have his best interests at heart, even though they're misguided.
So as you take his view, Miriam, how does her attempt at easing the beast from the surface of him, draining the natural aggressions, pessimism, in other words, the kindred from him, how does that
It's
look?
almost like the feeling of being wrapped in a warm, cozy blanket with a cup of hot cocoa.
Working her charm, working her spell. For a lot of the disciplines, it is holding eye contact. It is putting power into your words and changing the tenor. Some it's touch, others it's dance or a song. It's how does she envision and carry out taking his beast from him?
Much the same, like wrapping them in a warm blanket, because, little kitty cats, they like being wrapped in warm burritos.
So, Hestia, as you have him, much like he is your prison lesser, holding on to the hem, well, the upper waist hem of his pants, holding him still, keeping him from twitching and manically moving towards that darkened space. Aaron to your left, i.e., his right, watching all of this. Miriam eases closer to him, wrapping herself around. Not quite skin to skin, but it is clear in the slightly increased predatory essence of what she is. Because there is, in fact, an increase in the essence of what she is. That monster beneath all of the superficiality of humble humaneness. There's a dangerous bent to her. You can watch it happening. There's the difference between the pseudo almost doctor that she normally operates as. Even in the midst of a aggressive, lusty, lascivious moment, there was that presence of a bad side essence to her. As she closes with Theo, that bad side manner gets lighter. As there's a working of her jaws as she holds his gaze and smiles. But the smile isn't anything warm and loving. It's you're mine. It's a hint of all of the darkness that she keeps, mostly hidden, mostly misunderstood, and easily looked over by the rest of the world. But in all things dead, in all kindred that exists, that darkness is in fact there. And then oftentimes is closer to the surface than either kindred is willing to give credence to. In this moment, here, since you watched her aim a firearm and mow down other living entities, this is as close to darkness as you've seen online. An exponential opposite. You watch as a significant portion of Theo's darkness, Theo's ever present, purposeful antagonism drift away. There's a relaxing of his shoulders. It's almost as if he's breathing fully for the first time. And while no smile appears, no outward manifestation as to how at peace he actually is, there's a moistening of his eyes. There's a softening of the corners of him. And Theo, just so that you are aware, for the next 4 scenes or so, the absence of your darkness is palpable, even to you. Even with that little voice that you didn't hear dancing around the back of your head like a horribly toxically mutated leprechaun. It's louder and louder. Lily, when you let them do this to us, they don't want anything from us. I'm going to be their sacrificial lamb. Don't you understand? That means you're gold.
Theo kind of shrugs his shoulders, almost like he's wearing a coat that's too small. Pulls himself in, just kind of shakes, and then just still as the dead. And whenever the opportunity presents themselves where anyone that they move further is going to disappear using unseen passage and follow along silently.
All right, conference of the blooded here. Do any of us take our eyes off of him long enough for that?
Nah.
I feel like that's gonna be a pretty good trick with Castillo holding on to his pants.
Right.
If your intention is to go invisible, you're gonna probably have to ask them, like, "Hey guys, I would like to not be here."
Oh, he can't. He's not going to go into this area where these other vampires he doesn't know
Oh.
being completely visible. That's not going to happen.
Which is fine because we are leaving.
Uh, what? I thought we came here for a reason.
They'll be here again. We have other shit to deal with. Uh, this, she will gesture in Theo's general direction, can get really bad.
Yeah, well, that.
The moment you think of really bad, the moment Miriam says really bad, here's what, because you all have been in close enough proximity to kind of sort of understand each other. Aaron, Theo, you watch as Miriam's face and Hestia's seeming darken. Because the moment she says this can get really bad, both of them can hear the faint thump of a heart beating in time to their mood. It's a roughly fixed size, phantasmal heart that they can envision as they hear it softly thumping in the background in time to the tension of this moment.
All right. As long as everybody's on board, I guess. I'd rather not have a knife at my back. If we're gonna go deal with people, they're gonna stick them in my front.
I don't see what the problem is personally.
I have zero context for what the problem is, so I'm just going off of their reaction. Well,
Oh,
not
I
zero, but not
agree.
enough to base an actual opinion.
I'm thinking the worst that could happen is we find the moment that I'm needed most and I am taken over and betray everyone. Something horrible like that, I'm thinking.
Yeah, I would not like to enjoy
Yeah.
a Caesar moment.
Yep. Uh, I do you want to tell them the story of the gremlins while we drive back to... We probably shouldn't go to the shelter.
Do you have a fucking ghost wrangler on retainer?
I have a spare, quote unquote, spare place in the city, and a lot of my ritual items in duplicate are there, so I could there perform the warding against spirits and possibly evict whatever is inside of them. Yes.
Great. Let's do that.
Yeah, we get to see Hester's hitting Heidi Ho.
That sounds so weird when you say that. Ugh. And then she walks them back towards the car.
Great. Great.
Alright, well,
As you
please
as you
do.
all make your way back to the car, there is, without a shadow of a doubt, you've all had that moment of knowing that you've been watched, knowing that you were being watched, that causes the hair to raise on the back of your neck, at the nape of your neck, on the forearms on the legs, just standing on end. The last vestigial effect of raising your hackles. You all feel that now as you all make your way back to the vehicle. Feel as if you all are being watched. And it doesn't help that for Hestia, for Miriam, as they walk Aaron and Theo back, they can hear it.
As they're walking,
You remember?
if anybody's paying attention, they will get under her breath.
We being creeped on?
I mean, I would guess at all times there is at least some person watching.
There is. Without a shadow of a doubt, there's always someone. As several songs have made mention of, the streets are always watching. It's especially true for the kindred. Because somewhere out there, closer at hand than they should be, is someone who is watching them. Someone who's taken notice of them. And for certain members of the coterie as it stands, being perceived, being recognized, is facing down a firing squad. So the drive to 71st Street, to the old neighborhood, to the stomping grounds that Hestia has not offered nor brought many to. There were 3 people, 3 kindred, that she'd explained, showed, or offered the opportunity of visiting. Because it is not for the faint of heart. Hestia's apartment there at the end, the very end, past where 71st and 72nd meet, they're just south of the Lakehead Trail, just south of the South Shore Country Club, though now they call it the Cultural Center, just south of South Shore Beach. The water and the wind always at her windows. The old neighborhood, not what it once was, something wholly, completely different. Because while for years being this close to the South Shore Country Club was a sign of status, was a sign of having made it, then they went ahead and built 7100 South Shore, the apartments there, the Revolutionary Care Center and the Betty Bob shop, the Coles, and then that damn blasted condominium building which altered the view looking forward out onto all of that green expanse that were the grounds of the country club. Then the single family homes were replaced with courtyard buildings, 2, 3, 4, and 5 stories tall. Before you know it, the families had changed over, while the grandmas, who were children during those days, still stuck around, their hold being the center of their family's chain. The easily bought and paid for understanding as to what respecting your elders meant. Knowing every family that lived up and down the block, all of that drifted away. And now, after several changes and flip-flops and difference in what the families actually were, the area is filled with bachelors, divorcees, individuals alone in the world. There's a quote that men live quiet, desperate lives. In the modern era, it's not just men. The vast majority of lonely, upwardly mobile, business-focused individuals profligate through the area amidst families broken and sundered, shattered and cracked. And while the income levels have done nothing but rise over the year after year, the closeness and feeling of community have dwindled in equal proportion. There's still pockets, buildings spread throughout, but as a whole, the communities are nowhere near what they once were.
So, on the car ride, Hess would have definitely told Aaron and Theo about the running into the wolf pack and the helicopter ride leaving Milwaukee.
Yes, Milwaukee.
Leaving Milwaukee, the gremlins, um, tearing apart the helicopter.
Which, to be fair, they were less gremlins, more spirit gremlins. Because I was
Okay.
there.
The problem with all of that was we didn't realize that because Sophia was having issues with her mother, that it would lead to anger and problems with us escaping Milwaukee. And the gremlins came because we had something attached to us and didn't realize it. When we crash landed, we landed at an abandoned church and were being stalked by a revenant that was born of anger. And that revenant that was born of anger was slightly attached to Miriam. Like, there were spirits that were attached to Miriam that brought this thing to life and it attempted to kill us. It made the area around dark. It made the ground soft. And even things that weren't scared of us were scared of it. It took physical form and could attempt to break down a door when originally there was nothing there. It killed the pilot right off and
Oh, yeah, he
stalked
didn't
us through
stand a
the grave.
chance.
Yeah, through the graveyard. And we had to give it an offering to make it lucid enough to destroy. That's how bad shit can get if you let a possession grow. Not to
And that
mention,
offering,
yeah, the offering was a drawing of a beating heart. A heart that legitimately was
like,
on paper beating.
one of my better works, actually.
I don't think I see the problem yet. Theo says with a slight smirk.
If you don't think that's the problem, this is not my first go round. There was also a creature that in the other side is tasked with culling spirits and keeping them from growing too strong. It's called Forthapuli, and it looks like a giant
Yeah, that's bad.
deranged centipede of some sort. But it wanted to come into the real world, and it used
Yeah.
a nearly dead human to come across the veil and take over its body, and we had to force it free, and it took over a kindred body. And to get it to leave, we had to make a deal with it and give it another body. It took us a while to get that other body, but at the same time, The problem with it holding on to bodies and being there was it was so unnatural. Other things were drawn to it, wanting to kill it and attack it and get it dragged back across, which created more problems for us after the fact. Not to mention that shit was fucking powerful.
Yeah, see, that happened before I joined these guys. But let's see, what was it? Oh, when I set that fire, right? I kind of bonded with it too.
Hey, this
He,
sorry to interrupt, but these all rings of infernalism. Alexander, he deals with that shit.
oh no, this was like, what did Sophia call it? A nexus?
Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't know if you've ever noticed how the shelter feels when you enter it. That's a nexus. It's a crossing of two or more dragon roads, and it was one of the most powerful ones in the area up until recently. And now she has control of it, even though the
We
shelter
should
is
really
mine.
do something about that.
Yeah,
No,
we should.
I get that, but it rings of certain what you guys were saying rings of certain elements that trigger my flag, so to speak.
Nah, nothing infernal, just all ghosts, spirits, undead things that are not us.
Okay, you say
But
so.
to answer your question further, Theo, because I know it's coming, the reason that's a problem is if the thing inside of you gets strong enough, it will shunt your actual spirit into the other side, so that even should we clear you out, you would not be able to find your way back into your own body, and it would be inert.
I don't think he wants this body. I've used it pretty well.
I mean, body or no body, which would be your preference?
Or, I mean, it's kind of like, do you want to have nobody, or would you rather be in a full paraplegic? It
Why
clears the
don't?
body, but, you know,
Yeah, and we won't need to do anything worrying about fucking whether or not you'll have a body if we just get rid of the damn thing. So, do we?
it's getting really hot.
You said you've got wards that you can use to keep the spirit out, or does it shunt it out?
I might have to coax it out first, but otherwise we would be able to maybe just ward him or ward a clothing item for him and it would push it out.
Okay, but you said this thing is riding him. If it's how does a word push it out?
They can't share the same space,
I
but I
think
think
it's a ward.
Hey,
Yeah, but normally I look at wards like I would
Tess,
prison bars.
do you think Blue might have some insight?
actually he would.
As
I
honest
haven't
as
seen him in
looks,
a while. Um, but he
Theo
would
puts on
probably be able to tell
sunglasses
me
and
how
puts
to
them
push it
on.
out.
Theo puts on some sunglasses and kind of leans back.
Do I know
And he's
whether
starting to
Blue
sweat a little bit.
is still where Lucio left him?
Did
Uh,
Lucio ever tell you where he left him?
I don't remember, honestly, if he told us or not.
I think he hinted at it, but he didn't say specifically. Because he said he didn't want to talk about it, if I remember right.
You do? You remember correctly. He did not want to talk about it. He wanted to let things lie, to embrace what little bit of peace he was able to find for himself and those close to him. Happily ever after, even if it only lasted for a few moments. Which unfortunately doesn't help you all right now, because that means you all are aware that somewhere out there in the night is a wraith, specter, a spirit like those that had besieged you otherwise, free of any contracts or bindings for these last few years.
Ooh.
Nice.
Honestly, the more that I learn about your guys' history, the more threads I feel are just loosely waving about in the wind, getting tangled and everything.
Yeah,
Most
pretty
assuredly.
much.
I do have a question, though, Aaron.
Yeah.
Who's we that you're talking about? I'm newer than you are. Who's
Well,
this
then don't
we?
include yourself in my we and you. As it stands currently, you look to be just as much of a problem child. He kind of just nods to the sunglasses and sweat.
You
You
said
look
something
about
about
maybe, what's up?
You said something about Alex. How do you know that about Alex?
Yeah. What?
That he's dealt with spirits or infernals before.
He's a Banu Hakim. If you run into that kind of shit, you're supposed to deal with it. Specifically the infernalism.
Is there such a thing as a
Aaron, so
lapse Banu
no,
Hakim?
no, there
No.
isn't. Hestia knows that from having taught, having conveyed. He attempted to bridge the gap between all of her lapsed status as a member of the Chantry with his want of understanding of thematics. As he pestered her, he already had access to other methodologies and teachings, and he pestered her. He chased behind Simone, soaking up every bit of what Simone was, and he pestered Hestia for mystical knowledge.
It's weird having
So
you here
suffice to...
because
Hmm?
it's reminding me of things that I didn't notice at the time.
Like?
When I met Alex, he seemed unfettered, untied to anything, but I also was unfettered and untied to my duties at the Chantry. It was because he pushed and asked and cajoled and begged for the knowledge that I was so freely given that I made steps to originally step back into my place as the Chantry. He followed behind Simone because Simone knew things that he didn't. He reached out to me for information and understanding and access to things that he didn't have that were mystically minded because I had access to them and he didn't. So I don't know whether that's a Bana Hakim thing or just an Alex thing, but it reminds me of your mentioning that there is a way to handle things, that you are tasked with doing something when something is present, and I don't know what things he was participating in and wasn't participating in, but it reminds me that that is how we met each other. We were both drifting without purpose.
All right, so my suspicions aside, and the unfortunate understanding I have that I probably shouldn't be saying this, but I don't think he was so unfettered as you think, Hestia. It sounds like you got milked for information. Standard practice.
That's
Yeah,
kind of what I thought, but I didn't want to be that guy.
Yeah, you were a mark.
and it's fine now because I could say that, oh, I should have known better, should have done better. But the Hestia that I was when I met Alex is not the Hestia I am now. The Hestia I was when I met Alex loved people and saw the light in them and wanted to do the absolute best for them. And that's been pretty much beaten out of me since then. So, are
Love
we ready
people.
to do this or what?
It tastes like French fries.
Okay. Sorry, you kind of got interrupted by the sweating chaos gremlin. What did you say there at the end?
Are we ready to do this or what?
Honestly, I've been ready since we got in the car.
Okay, I'm letting you into this house. Be careful, please. What you touch. He mostly looks at Theo. A lot of these things are sentimental to me and have been passed to me from somebody very important who is no longer in existence. And she will take
I
her
won't
keys out
touch anything.
and open the door to her hidden hidden sanctum.
Aaron just kind of walks with his hands clasped behind his back, just as a "I've got nothing to hide" gesture. Also a look, you can see I'm not fucking with anything.
So outside of the green archery, the green arch that grows on the inside of her door, that clinging vine that is watered with several substances and alchemical decoctions, how would Hesha describe her home as they enter?
Um, it's kind of a mix of Art Deco and the library from Beauty and the Beast. No, like not the like super bright colors, but like just the floor to fucking ceiling bookshelves on several walls. Overstuffed chairs in jewel tones. But yeah, just like a little bit of Art Deco, very old Chicago style, and lots of books.
So, would any of that Art Deco stuff have been in the office at the shelter back in the 20s?
She probably did take
Yes.
some of the piece.
Cool. Miriam will just laugh to herself a little bit when she recognizes these pieces.
Especially as she recognizes the hands that gave them to Hestia certain pieces, certain moments. And while Miriam wasn't there during any of those moments where a housewarming gift weeks later than it should have been, because of course, she wasn't there when the closing papers were signed. A addition to the many things that you're working on. This would work well. Doesn't need that much light, and I'm sure that you can find a way to make sure that it blooms. And this would look lovely next to that plant. And so many small moments shared from sire to child, dreaming of the child's death and growth into the chantry. While the place farther north, locked away and kept against all comers, grew into an extension of Hestia. This place, unlike that one, and unlike the shelter itself, is 100% the Hestia before the dark. It is 100% the act of love and cherishing of who Hestia was, being watered by the love and attention of her sire. Sire that Miriam walked inside of, saw through, witnessed. And as that smile dances across Miriam's face, as the memories lived and envisioned are broadcast big and bright on the screen of her mind, the pressures of what's bubbling inside Theo lean on Miriam with enough weight and violent surprise that it nearly takes her unbeating heart's breath away. There's a faltering of the poise. There's a put upon, seriously assaulted version of Miriam that presents herself as whatever it was, whatever it is, fights diligently against the touch of her calm.
While they're looking around and fairly distracted, Hess will use celerity and her spelled blade to nick across each one of them in turn with her speed and fling it at the ward.
Ah. By nick across each of them, you mean you cut me?
Yeah, she
Yeah.
shanked us. We got shanked.
Ah. So just in
He
the
would
middle
probably
of this
look
air and kind
down
of
and
like,
there's just a little welling of blood across the top of his palm. She's like, it's just that fast. She can blink, so she's just like,
just in the middle, like all of a sudden he jerks his hand back. He looks down at his palm and is like, it's standard practice to ask before you cut people.
I wanted to
Mir-
learn how to do that so that I could do that. Can you imagine how much fun I could have if I could be invisible and moving at that fast?
I
I think they would cancel each other
have
out.
nightmares about it. Yeah.
You were saying, Miriam?
Miriam will let out a little growl, yelp sound. Whether it's from her distress or getting cut, who knows?
We'll find out soon. In the next episode of Dragon Ball Z Kai.
There's a cost of doing business, which is funny. But everybody understands it. It's an aphorism that is hard baked into the social conscious of every living and unliving American. There's a cost to doing business. Yet, in application, it is often a surprise. There's often a, why should I have to pay? There is a lack of a realization that the concern and consideration of each and every person individually cannot and does not matter in the face of the capitalistic religion. And as each of you all are nicked, what should have been a harmless, painless execution of a completion, a donation, if you will. Yet, the moment Hestia's blade in collecting your vitae, what little few droplets are nearest the surface of you all, just as she does, a hair's breadth before the guardian spirit of her sanctum sanctorum, her hidden space, comes barreling down on each of you. You feel its oppressive enmity, a very much get the fuck out, and then nothing. It have been extraordinarily painful, dissipates as each of your vitae slaps against the doorpost, the western doorpost of Hester's front door.
Just kind of going from looking at his cut palm to up and about the room, just up in the nooks and crannies of the ceiling as he's just, Hestia,
Did
what
you?
the hell is wrong with this house?
Uh, Nothing wrong with it actually. It's more. It's very protective of the things inside of it, including myself when I am here. It's a necessity. So I could have caught it. Should have caught it sooner, but we were looking around. Sorry. Uh, that was me appeasing the ward so that you are welcomed into my home.
Oh, fun.
I thought you just got it at a discount.
The slow turn of the head before he's just, is this you talking, or is this the writer talking? Because either way it fits. It's just ridiculous.
Don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Oh, the best
Meanwhile,
ones can disguise themselves easily.
yeah, yeah, you almost never know. While they're talking, and now that we've appeased the ward, Hess is gathering supplies for this ritual.
Aaron's just noting down what she's taking out and what she's putting around. So, is there anything that I can do to help in this scenario?
Stay out of the way mostly.
Theo is whispering just slightly too low just low enough for anyone to hear. Get out of
And Miriam will make herself comfortable in probably one of the chairs that was taken from the shelter and pull out a sketchbook and start drawing the room.
All right. Well, he says as he puts away the notebook with a freshly scratched lines. I'm just gonna go say bye, Theo, in case he decides that he wants to have his poltergeist moment.
Actually, I know that I said don't touch anything, but I can trust you more than I can trust Theo. If you would like to look at the shelves and see if there's anything that catches your eye, then I am okay with that.
I might peruse them once we've got this all done and over with, but I do feel like keeping an eye on that thing is quite important. I'm not exactly unfamiliar with sorcery and all that. but I haven't focused. What's this? I haven't focused my studies on it either. Now then, Theo, buddy old pal, how you doing? He says as he just draws closer.
I'm just imagining how much fun I could have if I was invisible.
Yeah, sounds like a great time. Hey, do you feel like, you don't know, toweling down? He says as he pulls out a handkerchief.
Howling down?
Yeah, no, you're still kind of sweating.
Yeah, I am a little sweaty, but I'm hoping that once I'm exercised, I'll stop sweating. Hopefully. Maybe.
I mean, we'll see. Just saying, glad nobody was walking on the streets whenever we popped out. You're kind of, pinkish.
Which is actually pretty okay if you think about it, because it beats my normal color of being dead.
Hear that? Like,
All
honestly,
of
it's
the
perfect.
ingredients, all of the ingredients are here in the house to begin the ward. Save the iron. You need the iron because you're attempting to ward a spirit. You're attempting to keep a spirit from having access to something. The iron is, in fact, important. And it's not something that's often used. Most spells you can do, most rituals you can do with salt and blood, and many of the plants that you have spread and sprawled throughout the house. Cold forged iron, however, the cheap, easily made iron that was used for railroad ties and tacks all over the country, is something that's considerably not often at hand. You don't need it for much. There's not many rituals that you need it for, needless to say. And yet,
Um,
now,
in the book it says I can use brick dust.
yes, again, not something easily at hand. Brick dust is, well, has its own difficulties in obtaining. Iron will work better.
Alright,
We
alright, so
shorten the ritual length.
So iron is the far more preferable ingredient in this.
Yeah, she would have said that aloud. She's like, shit. Got everything. I just brick dust is would work, but I don't have any. I'm out. Iron, I'm also out of, but that would work much better, as it would link strength to things.
I mean, we can just pop out and grab that shit real quick, right? I mean, it's not overly common, but it's not exactly rare either.
Oh, brick dust? All we have to do
No,
is take a brick and grind it to dust.
I'm talking about the iron.
brick dust. The thing with the brick
Find
dust is
some
that
more to wire and finish.
it works, but it has
What?
too high of a level of inconsistency. It's a little unpredictable, basically, because bricks can be made of several different things, and it's not always proper brick dust. Iron's a little more easy to get and more secure and steady. So yes, if we can find something made of cold forged iron, it would work.
I mean, you get a
I
crowbar, we
can
can just
pop
pull
out
a
to the
tack
store
on
and
it.
go get it.
I mean,
No, you're not allowed to leave.
yeah, that explicitly not allowed to leave. What I was gonna say is, if you've got a crowbar, just pop out to the tracks and go pull up a tack.
Could I have a crowbar?
Unless there's something relatively close
I
by that
actually
you
might
know
have
is
some in my house.
unless there's something relatively nearby that you know is handmade iron.
I think I have some railroad ties at my house if you guys want to use one.
You're not leaving here, buddy.
I'm trying to help you. You guys are not helping. You guys are not helping me help you.
I okay. So,
Miriam
Hestia,
will think for a
you,
minute. And it's like it may be not workable, but do you have a magnet that's an iron base?
magnet that's iron based? Is that what you said?
Yes.
I might. Um, she'll go to her science experiment setup, like her chemistry setup, and see if she has an iron-based magnet.
Wait, Miriam, does that count as cold?
Depends on how the magnet was made, I suppose.
Ugh. Ugh.
But yes, magnets can be made of iron.
And
Yeah,
as you're
these are
talking
all.
about magnets, as you're talking about magnets, there's a palpable change in Theo. It's that neither of you all are mothers. Neither of you all have had the opportunity of raising young and being there for all of the fevers as it shifted from problematic to really, really problematic and needing to get to the doctor or nurse practitioner. Theo very much experiences an increase in temperature. So much so that you all are a foot to 6 away from him and notice the difference as it begins ramping up.
My dude, you might want to sit down.
And we might want to find that iron quick.
I'll be okay.
What,
I
do
have
you want me to
faith
go?
in you.
You want to go see if you can find some while Hestia tries to figure out if the magnet will work.
Yeah, sure. Hess, I'm not just going to spontaneously explode if I go pricking and bumping around this place, am I?
No.
Only
Now
if you
that
touch
you're
the wrong thing.
accepted by the wards, you should be okay. Um, actually, the strange thing about it, I think there might be handmade iron back at the actual haven side of the shelter because a lot of it was a construction zone.
Oh yeah.
Is that close enough for me to, like, what's our timeline looking like?
Mm,
Now take your time. Get some coffee. I'll be
if
alright.
you could maybe stop at a
I,
kink shop and get me a ball gag while you're at it.
I don't necessarily think I'd need
I
to stop.
actually have one in my place.
Alright, I will head off to the shelter. I'll see you in a little bit with some iron bars. Whether
I
or not I
don't
shove them up his ass by the time I get back is entirely up to the situation when I get here.
I don't have one in my car, but I might be able to rig one up for you, Hestia.
He just kind of leaves that conversation where the fuck it is as he walks out, I guess, to take Hestia's car wherever the hell he needs to go.
Well, the beautiful thing about being right off of Lakeshore Drive, South Shore Drive, this far south, and where you need to get to with the shelter up in is that you can make it all in one relative quick shot, and relative being the operative word, considering that it is literally on the opposite end of the city. It is equally far north as you are south. of the central line of the city.
So it's a relatively uncomplicated drive. We love those. We love those. All the way up until the Hikata in their black vans decide to jump me.
Oh, they won't jump you so much as find a way to make sure that every waking moment of your eternal night is as problematically. One of the few group think of kindred society that face the fact that death is just a position along the spectrum that is the entirety of life.
Ah, okay, okay. So they'll put me through agonizing pain, but not kill me. They'll sign my email up for 30,000 different newsletters.
Exactly this. And while it is a significant amount of distance covered in a relatively short amount of time, it is in fact 15 after the hour. Let's take a quick 10 and return to the mess that is this particular moment with the coterie.
Yeah, it is a mess, I'll give you that.
That's perfectly fine.
You know, what's the worst that can happen?
I agree with you 100%.
Miriam has personal experience.
Well, this is only the second time that a character of mine has been possessed. I kept trying to be helpful and get them to go to my apartment to get all the stuff they needed, but they didn't want to.
Your stuff has your cooties on it. Hestia doesn't want your cooties.
Hey, you could have used the ball gag that he had, the iron poker that he has, the metal handcuffs that he had, and he would have been back by now.
I mean, if you want to go that route, you're talking to the wrong person. Hestia is a poor little sweet girl who blushes so easy.
Hmm. Uh, huh. I'm not sure who's Seraphim the Champs. That looks bad.
Oh, Finn. Are you looking at the New York stuff?
Well, no, he posted it in the chat. Uh, Seraphim the Champs. I'm like, who the hell is that? I don't know
Don't
who
worry
that
about it.
is.
Don't worry about it. No, don't worry about it.
Not my
Well,
It's a
problem
New
they
though.
York.
are.
But
It's a New York character.
the hell is he doing here for?
Don't worry about it.
I mean, certain people can get transferred. It's fine.
No problem. I'm good with it.
You know, worst case scenario. Worst case scenario. You make a new friend, and you're already in the middle of doing that.
That is true. That is true. Not sure who this character is, but hey, I'm not gonna worry about it.
Mm-hmm. I love how AI likes to give people fucking spiky ass anime here. Like, there's no like true artificial intelligence currently, but you can really tell the personality it's developing is just a fucking nerdy ass weirdo.
All right, what I miss?
Your mom.
I do, but I think I'm gonna actually once this whole debacle is over, I'm gonna try to go feed because I don't like being at hunger too. Problematic.
You don't like being one step above minimum?
No, it's problematic. It's messing with my rolls.
Yeah, definitely. I think the first time we get some
See,
XP, I'm gonna be bumping up my fucking. Firstly, I think my brawl is going up, but more more priority than that, my occult. Because my god, if Aaron has been given any kind of homework by this coterie so far, it's there's a bunch of scary ass weird shit out there that you don't know about.
I got a coat, but I was actually thinking celerity.
I'm not gonna lie. I have a really, really hard time justifying spending my XP on anything.
Well, that's because you have your character archetype in your head and you don't want to change it. And
No,
adding
it's not just that.
paint will change it.
I also just get really worried about like the eventuality of your character being without dice turning against you, the eventuality of your character being a fucking messiah made flesh. The destroyer of
Fair,
worlds,
fair,
you know?
fair. That's why, actually, I think that's the one thing that V5 got right is that I don't see any character becoming that guy.
What do you mean that guy?
Like the Destroyer of Worlds, the Smasher of Titans. I don't think any character can become quite that guy.
It's not as difficult as one would think.
Well, I don't know. It's like I actually the character that everyone mentions, the Simone character, he had a four in brawl and actually lost his share of fights.
Hmm. As I
And he
said,
had a
like
four in dexterity.
the dice can always turn against you. Like you can have 11 dice
Bro,
in something and still only get like 3 successes.
bro. And that's kind of the reason why I kind of like, because he had basically, if he was to throw a punch or kick or anything else, because he was a martial artist, he had like 8 dice, and he's missed quite a few times. He actually missed a sneak attack. It was
Those
like
are
the fuck.
difficulty 1. Oh, that's rough.
Yeah, it was like how he snuck up on a person and he had like stealth of 3 or something like that. Snuck up on somebody, couldn't find him, sneak attack and miss. I was just close the computer, like, you know what? Game's over. I'm done. I'm
Yeah,
done.
at that point, the dice roller is saying, "Go home. You're drunk."
Go home and do something else. This is not for
Yeah,
you.
yeah. You are not welcome here, sir.
So that's the
Well,
only reason why I have to. Even so far, I don't know if you noticed, but the last 2 weeks, the dice roller has not been kind to me. The
no,
past
I've noticed.
two
I've been watching.
sessions.
I have been watching you roll 2, 2, 2, 2, 2.
Yeah, it's getting kind of rough. I'm actually trying to not burn through willpower because, unfortunately, whatever this is that's attacking me is taking my willpower away.
Oh yeah, that's what spirits do, buddy. I don't know if you guys
So,
noticed the moment while I was talking, but I just nearly fucking accidentally sucked a toxic waste candy into my lungs. So glad that I dodged that.
Delicious.
yeah.
But did you actually dodge it?
No. I just managed to cough in time to not have fucking acidic material coat the interior of my esophagus and my respiratory system. But now, because the candy had
Not
been
gonna go
worn
there.
down, I think I have scratches in the back of my fucking throat from where it stabbed me.
Well, you know, sometimes people just need to be stabbed.
It's
Sorry, it
true.
was your turn. So
Exactly.
taking it that we're all back, correct?
More or less.
Okay. Um, Aaron, would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your drive and resolve?
All right, I'm actually not bad at this. So we're.
We shall see.
Well, let me put it this way. Aaron doesn't see driving down this presumably uncomplicated road as a life or death situation, so he would have no reason to rouse his blood right now.
Yes and no.
Oh, what do you mean?
The well, driving in Chicago is a full-on contact sport. That contact sport ratchets up about 9 degrees, moving from South Shore Drive down Lakeshore Drive through the downtown area, over onto the Dan Ryan, and north into Rogers Park and making your way back east. While yes, you can avoid getting on the Dan Ryan and going west, however, taking the entirety of that time down Lakeshore Drive, the entire distance until it becomes Sheridan, then you make your way west through Rogers Park. There are several places, several points along the route where there are blind curves. There are several points along the route where the lanes, because of Chicago politics, instead of them um, widening the lanes, they simply painted the lane markers thinner. There are several points along the drive where there are straighterways where if you are not doing 75, you are risking your very existence. And the
I see.
view is to die for. It is 100% no lie, one of the most scenically beautiful routes throughout the entirety of the city. It also is because uh, any street which has more than 2 lanes, well, to be perfectly honest, any street that has more than 1 lane is considered an expressway in the city by the average driver. And it really is for drivers traveling that far across the city, as if you are in fact being pursued down the Fury Road.
Glorious. Well, as I don't know, reenact Mad Max on the bustling streets of Chicago.
Oh no, not just the streets. Lakeshore Drive, well, South Shore Drive becomes Lakeshore Drive after attempting to lose you in the maze of Plaisance through the Midway. So just after you get north of the South Shore Country Club, the cultural center, and you begin moving past the museum there at Hyde Park, there are several quick twitch muscles that you need to maintain your trajectory on Lakeshore Drive. Otherwise, you will find yourself moving west through Hyde Park through no power of your own and circling back towards South Shore Drive. It is a maze with the signs small enough and awkwardly placed enough where it is easy enough to lose yourself for even locals.
Aha, so you mean like when Google Maps tells you to turn left 15 feet from said left turn?
Yes. Yes.
I love that. That's why I hate going through cities. Fuck! You have no idea how. I mean, you probably have since you've been there, but how frustrating it was driving through New Orleans.
Not the best time, but yeah, it is exactly that plus, plus, plus. And fate is on Aaron's side. He grips his wheel and grits his teeth and survives the very real 3 brushes with everlasting rest on his travels across the city. He manages to avoid being plowed over by a CTA bus, which proudly proclaims helping the environment. The electric bus placards on the side of a long should have been discontinued diesel bus as you narrowly miss being T-boned by it as you shift lanes and it decides to go the opposite direction through you. You narrowly miss crashing into the concrete guardrail as you circle around Navy Pier and the non-stop aggression that happens on the straightaways where the South Shore Lakeshore Drive goes from 4 lanes to 6. 2 of them, of course, being exits. One a blind one as the lower Michigan lower Wacker merges up and onto into Lakeshore Drive from your left. And then there's the Snake just past the magnificent mile Lakeshore Drive due to some brilliant understanding of engineering. Swerves and veers wildly west and then back east, all in the matter of a 2/8 of a mile, allowing you to watch your life peter out and disappear as brake lights begin to bloom like a wildfire set in the driest of thickets as cars and drivers ahead of you realize that doing 90 miles on a curve that's designed for 45-mile-an-hour traffic is not necessarily the best of decisions. It is
Yeah,
an expedition.
definitely so. And I love how you're
Question
giving the.
remains.
Oh, what's up?
No. The question remains. In the process of making that drive and making that dash, is there anything else that Aaron is attempting?
Anything else that Aaron is attempting? Well, I don't carry a cell phone on me, so I can't call anyone. I would say just rifling through. Since he's driving, he can't really physically do much unless he decides to stop off somewhere. And given that we're in the process of dealing with a kindred who seemingly is about to go supernova with a ghost in his stomach, he can't really reasonably go anywhere without half-assing his job. So he's just gonna plumb the depths of his own knowledge. You know, they brought up the Sophia individual, they brought up the Hikata. So he's just gonna kind of do an internal recounting as he's driving and see what he has managed to scrounge up and what has managed to through gossip and sideward comments, make its way to him.
In regards to what you've heard, in regards to the behaviors that you are now aware that they've been privy to, in regards to the very real many facets of death that have been stalking them, as much as you try to minimize your enmity for Alexander and his behaviors, the more it's shaping up that they were a job. And while that is deplorable, absolutely so, there's a troubling facet that is sitting there on the tip of your tongue. If they were a job and he left in the middle of a job, what would that mean about where he is now?
Mm. And the real question, or like something to consider, is him leaving in the middle of the job actually him abandoning it, or him continuing it through an alternative route?
Exactly. Someone willing to go into deep cover. Someone willing to put their eternal state at risk. Someone loyal enough to go rogue to uphold their ideals. That is difficult to put a limit as to what they might do and to focus.
Yeah. I think perhaps figuring out and over the course of the next couple nights sussing out what exactly the original objective was might help get an understanding of what his current objective is. Because at the very least, I know that he was plumbing Hestia for information, and specifically about supernatural and sorceress knowledge. But I need to find the crumbs and figure out where it leads to. Oh yeah, that is true.
And speaking of where it leads to, under the best of circumstances, it's at least an hour and a half there and back. At least an hour and a half. He may find a way to shave off a minute here, a minute there, but it's at least an hour and a half there and back with very little difficulties with traffic, if there are very little difficulties with traffic. Difficulties add time. Getting pulled over by the police adds time. There is time you all are dealing with as Aaron leaves, like a man on a mission.
Indeed. Blaring down the streets
Oh,
with Highway to the Danger Zone.
Hestia, Miriam, Theo, with Aaron leaving you all on your own recognizance. Are there any discussions? Any plans? Are there any preparations in the offing, knowing approximately how long it would take?
Hess is going to set up the ritual space the best she can, but not combine anything until they have all the things that they need. Also, in the meanwhile, she will look to Miriam. I know you remember things from when this was happening to you. Is there anything we should maybe ask him or try to suss out, or maybe see if we can possibly pacify this thing until he gets back?
Not really. I mean, it took us how long to even realize I had a thing? The only thing that was weird was, dreams. But aside from that, I think the knowledge would be in the taking. Like, who is it and what is it to Sophia?
Didn't yours want something or something like that? It was like unfinished business.
It wasn't really directive. It seemed more content just to be until, we went to go visit her mom.
Okay, so let's see what we can do. Theo, I guess, is already sitting, and S will go get uh, cool rag because water is obviously running to her place. Get a cool rag, wring it out, bring it back, slap it on the back of his neck, and then get herself like a little seat, a little they call him a poof. Sit on it, facing him, and try to communicate with the thing that is trying to take over his body.
Have you ever had a really filling meal with no problems afterwards? It is a meal so good that the only thing you want to do is just sit still and breathe.
Not since he was living.
He's feeling now. The world is moving beneath his feet, and you can feel the music of the earth grumbling beneath all of the efforts of mankind, simply inhaling and respirating despite the world spinning by, all of the feet trampling and rushing and rolling, and that's where he is. That's where he consciously is. All of his troubles, all of the insistent persistences of needs and wants are just so much unnecessary. Feeling light and satiated and at peace. It's a difficult thing because there's this weird little leprechaun at the back of his mind. That would eat you, right? You couldn't be more unbothered if you were watching a very bad B movie from the late 60s. Just noise on in the background. Yet the voice carries with it the idea that there should be something more. It carries with it the feel that there's more to what's not said than what actually is. And it keeps dancing a jig. Each right.
Uh, is it weird that I'm hearing a voice in the back of my head saying it's gonna eat me? Is that a bad thing?
Well, that's certainly not normal.
I don't know about that. Sometimes I feel like I hear that before, but I don't think I hear it that loudly. Miriam, did you hear someone say that they were going to eat you when you were possessed?
No, I dreams were the bulk of it.
Oh. Did they dream that they were going to eat you?
No, they dreamed they were dancing a ballet.
Hmm. What do you think? I think I should go to sleep. Maybe that'll help.
Yep,
However,
let's
Do
stay
really need
awake
to
for
go to
now.
sleep.
I will just go on an option. If I fell asleep, then I probably wouldn't be attacked. But it won't hurt me. But on the other side of the coin, I could fall asleep and never wake up again.
While they're having this interaction, Hess will slip into sense the unseen. See if maybe she can pick up a shadow or an aura or something to directly communicate with. And yes, I am aware we are doing this in Hess's place, so it's probably a sketchy idea at best, but that's what the wards are for.
Theo backs away from the two of them just a little bit, especially Hestia.
I'm, I'm supposing, she looks a little spooky. Her eyes go white, and she gets extra focused.
No, I kind of have a feeling I'm seeing you sneaking fangs into me, and not in a good way.
You know what her lipstick tastes
Miriam's
like.
okay. Yes, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a good thing. I feel that you're gonna try to, you know, devour me, but not in a good way.
No.
And Miriam, who's the Irish pirate that was watching you dance?
Hmm. Our dear Mr. Nash.
And you hear the music the moment that he brings it up. You remember the dress you were wearing and how excited you were that he was coming to see you, to spend time with you. You, specifically you, Miriam. Since the unseen isn't just visual, though more times than not it is the act of seeing, not just sensing. Hesiod's wards, protecting this sanctum sanctorum, keeps it balmy in regards to the spiritual world. It keeps it a oasis of calm and warmth in the midst of all of that cold, all of those forgotten and lost essences. Because they're not quite spirits, they're not quite souls, they are the conflated balance of the remembered and the once had been. Certain essences are able to rise through the ranks of power to become problems for others, whereas most forget themselves, forget what this world held for them outside of those few gleaming sparks connection, be they persons or places. things that tie them to this side of the veil. Things that, unlike the rest of their existence, the rest of their new normal, actually holds color. It isn't a gray, opaque thing like the rest of everything this side of the veil. It's those moments, those people, those places that have bright vibrancy that calls to them, that summons their strength and their bravery, and sometimes their fear and the loss of it. So watching Hestia's eyes go dead, long, long dead, the color faded to nothingness, her pupils and irises losing their color, the dark, vitae-filled veins growing swollen like old bruises on new flesh, is an unsettling thing. And worse yet, though it's seldomly done, it seldomly takes hold in the way that it does now. Her cafe au lait skin dimming, the many spiderweb thin veins beneath the surface of her skin showing with all due clarity, standing out as if they'd been chiseled in stone. And you can tell that she feels the buffeting of spiritual winds. You can tell that she sees what dances there at the back of your mind, Miriam, and your soul, Theo. And for her, what she hears is a piece of classical music. What she sees are floodlights lighting the path with a spotlight overhead, guiding Miriam along a polished, waxed floor. What she sees is a small little thing, the essence of a being willing to sacrifice their life in service. The understanding of what the painter actually is. Unlike the prince, unlike the bear, unlike all of the crabbling and craving politicos of the kindred world, the painter literally is the leader and guide of all facets of the soul. For every being beneath him, and all beings are beneath him. And Hestia begins to hear that voice. She expects it to be warm and filled with life, always looking for a new mystery to solve and a new angle. She expects that voice, or even Karen's, but she gets neither. She gets Clyde. You know, I did try to warn you all about this all the time, and no one would listen. If you had simply not let her. His voice peters off, as if he doesn't want to be overheard, if he doesn't want to be caught in the act. This is all your fault. This is all your fault. You know this. The one why don't forget, and they don't forgive, and you try to negotiate with them, and then it gets quiet again. They're going to eat us. They're going to eat us. They're going to eat everything.
I frowned softly. I know you can hear me. You are no longer welcome on this side of the veil. Go back to your master, or I will kick you out.
Can't do that. You can't do that either. You let in. I know not.
My wards are my wards. I can kick out who I'd like.
You believe that's how it works? Wards set up lines. They set up doors. They're only as strong as the materials used. Doors can be kicked in. Lines can be erased. Round and round and round and round. You know why Google works the way that it does? It's not because it's safe. It's not because they have your best interest in mind. Google works because they managed to pull the wool over everyone's eyes and say, we will keep you safe, unless, of course, things are going absolutely berserk. And then it's every monster for themselves. The ultimate power that they can use just once. But then again, once is all it takes. Just you know that right now the Julie force the guy who's not a guy, who was a guy, right now decided enough ending up. And why be in two places when you can be in just one? Just one. Just one. And then things get quiet. Aaron is a hell of a drive. Time is always the thief of forever and always. And yet you manage to survive the roadways there and back again. Your prize in hand, almost as if some hand of fate, some servant of the greater will of forever reached into your being and guided you to where you could find that concrete blob with the iron jutting out, almost as if you could use it as a cudgel, like a hammer, like Mjolnir.
I was thinking the exact same fucking word.
And yeah, there's a rusty red spot here and there and splatters across it, but that just proves that it was used or it came into contact or it was otherwise yeah, it's in your back seat. Not your back seat, but in the back seat of the vehicle that you're traveling in. And you arrive back at Hester's place. Your clearly cold forged iron in hand. Your mighty, mighty act of justice, your weapon, your tool, the final solution for all the trouble that lays there in Theo to be exposed. And if it fails, you can always use it to, beat him into submission.
Well,
have you ever seen Hester use her abilities?
At this point, so far, no.
So entering into the space and seeing the zombified dead Verpestia, skin nearly translucent, color faded from all of her, but the very most extreme appendages, the fingertips, the tip of the nose and ears, the far flung extremities, having bits of color. Her eyes dead as the Watusi. And Theo quietly watching as Miriam sketches.
There's an obvious look of just discomfort as he absorbs the visage of Hestia before he kind of just gripping it by the metal handle of this concrete block, just lifts it up and plops it down onto the counter. Hey, got what you needed.
That's damn near hisses. Seeing it. Where did you get that?
You told me to go to the shelter, look at some of the construction, grab some shit.
That specific piece?
I don't know, it just called out to me.
Fuck. I told him to destroy that shit. Of course, he didn't fucking listen. Oh my god. What
Is
else?
it? I'm missing some
Proof of a
context here.
crime.
What's the problem? Oh, fun. What crime?
The one where
Murder.
that what you thought of.
On the bright side, won't using it destroy it?
I don't need that much of it. I need a little bit of it.
Well, hey, no better place to hide evidence of a crime than in your bat cave.
Apartment.
Look, I just know I was sent out for a piece of iron. Here's your iron.
Success is success, even if it comes at a cost.
No, but you. Oh god.
What, is there any issues with me bringing it out here?
No, it's fine as long as I don't use it. Because unfortunately, there were already spirits attached to it by the murder that was committed with it. It will tie those spirits and this spirit.
Yeah, but like, isn't the thing you're using it for to make a ward against spirits?
They'll just hang out in her house, watch TV, read a fridge.
Yeah, it'll be like the Beetlejuice movie all over again.
Yeah. Beetlecles. 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 Nothing happened.
Well, as you all sit there and
Miriam.
look at the weapon. Miriam, go on.
Oh, Miriam is just giving him the strangest look. Like, that doesn't even make any sense.
You have all of the components. You have enough time. And you've all survived a trek across the city. Aaron has survived 4 this evening. And so as Lake Michigan beats against the shoreline, as the wind outside picks up steam and effort, begins to hold a conversation with itself at the top of its voice. Voice at the back of Theo's soul holds a Brazilian Portuguese accented conversation about the ramifications of choosing wisely and acting foolishly. As Miriam fights off the none too subtle background noise of a heart beating. a symphony, striking up its chords and testing its instrument in preparation for the dance that she knows by heart. Doing her best to not look into the wings, into the darkened spaces at the edges of her vision, for the emanation of that voice. Oh, I love. You know I wouldn't have missed it for the world. And as Hestia has the ever raging ghost of actions past visiting her. I'd like to thank you all for a lovely episode. We will see you all next time. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night. You know, honestly, his comment about traveling is 100% accurate. The world of darkness does not enjoy you going from point A to point B.
It's true.